Hello everybody. As always, my name is Chris and we're back after a few months break which wasn't really planned, but such is life. We are back now though, and we're doing another film which I cannot believe I ended up missing, considering it's 81 years old, so it's not like I haven't had the time to watch it. Interestingly, I saw the light show for this at Walt Disney World many years ago. I think it was 2000? Yeah. But not the film until now. So the film itself, as the title will tell you, is Fantasia, and it certainly is a different film. Released in 1940, Fantasia was Disney's third animated film, but that doesn't really explain what it is. The film consists of 7 short animated segments, each one set to a different piece of classical music, with an introduction for each segment before them, and music done by the Philadelphia Orchestra. Honestly, it feels a little weird to call this a movie, because although it is obviously a movie, it feels so different from anything I've ever watched before. And because this film is different from anything I've seen before, we're going to be shaking up how we do the format for this episode, because it's different to judge this movie as a whole movie, because the reality is it's more like 7 movies, not 1. So what we'll be doing is splitting each individual film apart. We'll be doing each film as its own segment and judge them individually for what they are, but coming from the perspective of somebody who has only seen this film a few days before even writing this script. Before we start, I will mention a couple of rules, things that should be obvious, but I've done film reviews before and oh boy, some people did not get this message. Number 1, I am not a professional film reviewer. This is not my job, nor is this something I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to make here. Secondly, this is a first impressions review, meaning I've only seen the film the once, and no doubt I may have missed some little details. Although, if you can think of anything I've missed, something I didn't see, please let me know down below. I'm always eager to learn. Oh, and there will be spoilers, but if you want to skip them and get straight to the conclusion, go to the timecode on screen now. Okay, we'll start with the first film, Tokata and Fugu in D minor. I may be pronouncing some of these wrong, I'm sorry, which in itself is an interesting concept. It's basically animated in a way that the artists believe you might see the music in your mind as you're listening to it and as it wanders. You close your eyes and just listen. It's a very beautifully played piece and beautifully illustrated animation, but it has no real story or real form, so difficult to kind of review, but it helps to set the tone of the film that it's certainly something different. Next we move on to Nutcracker Suite, something which now we all recognise the name of, but back then had actually fallen out of fashion. The music is obviously beautiful, and if anything I would say the animation really adds to that, as it takes us through a year in nature, the seasons and so much more. And also the fever dream dancing mushrooms. I'm not really sure why they were there, but there we go. All in all, this segment was very well done. Now we head to the third segment, and this is the one that's most famous, and this is The Sorcerer's Apprentice. I'm willing to bet, even if you haven't seen this film, you've seen segments or clips of this at some point. It's a Mickey Mouse story portraying Mickey as the apprentice of the master sorcerer Yinsed. Yes, that is Disney backwards, and yes, I did not notice that until this film. And him enchanting the brooms to assist him, and then disaster ensues. I mean, he's so famous I don't even know what to say. Like the brooms and Yin said they were even in Kingdom Hearts. Rite of Spring is the next segment, and honestly I think this one was my favourite. It tells us the story of creation, from the formation of the planet to the death of dinosaurs. It was supposed to go further than that, up to humans discovering fire, but those plans were stopped to avoid controversy from religious groups. The idea of evolution still being controversial when this film came out, and bits of it even had to be removed in order to get it released in Ireland. I honestly love this segment, and although if I'm nitpicking, I can say that the depictions of the dinosaurs were a little inaccurate compared to what we know now, as you would expect from an 81-year-old film, but you know, that's easy to ignore, and it's a great watch. The Pastoral Symphony comes next, and this was the one that had the controversy due to certain, well, pretty damn racist caricatures. However, I'm not really going to go into that, because the version I saw was the post-1960s version, which had that cut out. In terms of what I did see, is a beautifully done story of Greek mythology, featuring centaurs, Bacchus, Zeus, and more. And it was a fun and enjoyable story to watch, with beautiful music to go with it. Next up was the Dance of the Hours, and the only way I can describe this is to call it a fever dream. Dancing ballerina hippos and crocodiles and ostriches, and I don't even know what to say about it. If nothing else, it's certainly interesting because you have no idea what's coming next, but you know it's going to be random. Finally, we had the Night on Bald Mountain and Ave Maria, and this one may have been familiar to people as well, particularly the demon on the mountain. This demon even made it into Kingdom Hearts as Chernobog, although in the film it is unnamed, and this again is phenomenal. I've always enjoyed Ave Maria, so for me it's a very strong one, and if it wasn't for my preference of the animations in Rite of Spring, this would have been my favourite. So with all the individual clips reviewed, what were my general thoughts about the film? Honestly, I really liked it. You need an appreciation of animation for this, as well as an enjoyment of classical music, and if either of them isn't really your cup of tea, might possibly be worth skipping this one. However, if you do enjoy this stuff, it's worth a watch, and maybe even if you don't, because if nothing else, it's interesting. It's a piece of animation and film history. It could be worth watching just from that perspective. So, what do you think of the video and everything else, and my opinion, and what's your opinion of Fantasia? Let me know in those very important comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time.